Welcome to Women of the World, a show which gives a voice to women from around the world who have chosen to make the United States their home. Our show believes in the principles written on and enshrined by the Statue of Liberty. Here's today's moderator, Comfort Dondo.
Welcome to today's episode of the show Women of the World. My name is Comfort Dondo. I'll be your moderator today. Co-moderating with me, I would like to welcome from my left, Gloria van Dameltrot. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Comfort. I'm very happy to be here today.
It's good to have you today. Next to Gloria is Dawn Tomlinson. Dawn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really excited about today's show.
Likewise. And then to my right is Nadia Jordana. Nadia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and I'm excited to be here today and to hear all about our guests.
Yes, and last but not least is our guest for today. I'm very excited to introduce her, Gisela Lee. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm scared.
It is okay to be scared sometimes. It's good to have you here, and we're very excited to hearing about your story.
Thank you.
Gisela, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about what it was, where you're from, and the very, very early days in Germany.
Well, I was born in Wittlich, Germany. It's close to the Mosel River. And I lived there for 21 years. I came over here on after 21 years.
So you were 21 when you came over here?
Yes. So I survived the war in Germany. And I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, I'll bet.
I am.
Gisela has quite a story about the war, surviving the war. I helped her write her story. She did a fabulous job of writing that, and it's a fascinating story of being a child during World War II in Germany. Can you tell us a little about it, Gisela?
Well, I lived in Wittlich, and my father got killed in an accident in 1940. He was 42. And my brother died in 41 of diphtheria, and we had no antibiotics. And then 42, my grandmother died, my mother and sister, and that's actually when we became more aware of the war. My uncles were in the war, and that's when it started more with the bombing. 43, I had scarlet fever, and I was sent away. And
How old were you when you had scarlet fever?
I was 7.5, and I was in a sanitarium for several, I think 2 months.
For having scarlet fever.
Yes.
Think about that today. Think about that today.
Yeah, you were in isolation. First, when I was diagnosed with scarlet fever, my mother thought it was a sore throat. And she, after my father died, in 1940, women had to work in Germany because the men went to the war. So she had to work from 7 in the morning till 7 at night with 1 hour off. For lunch, she would come home, fix dinner, and go back to work. So she thought I had a sore throat. Till it got so bad, I had breathing problems, and the doctor put me in isolation in the house, then in the hospital. And when I was in the hospital in Germany, we don't have mortuaries at that time. They were part of the hospital. And isolation was just right above where the mortuary was.
That had to be frightening.
I saw my dad in the mortuary after he died, and I was right above. And we couldn't have contact with any. My mother couldn't see me. I would look out the window to talk to my mother.
So you had to think that you would be dying as well, is that right?
I did, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because the mortuary was frightening. It was built into the building street level, no windows. And they opened the door and you see all the bodies lined up. And my dad was in the front. So yeah, it created nightmares.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then from there, I was sent to the sanatorium for 2 months. Was away from home.
So you weren't allowed to see anyone there either?
No. We lived like in a dormitory style. We took hard, what are those baths, hot water coming out of the ground in wooden tubs, covered till here. Yeah, it was scary.
Yes, very.
But it's the first time I ever jello. We called it wackel pudding, wiggly pudding.
Oh, Jello.
Oh,
It
Jello.
was the
They
first.
served Jello in hospitals even then.
They did
Yes,
there. They did there, yes.
I feel very privileged to be here with you today, to be able to hear what a powerful story you have. I'm reminded of my own story, immigrating to the U.S. at age 18. So you came here when you were 21.
21.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that journey for you?
I went to college in Munich. I went into dress design, and the German
Dress design.
yes, and German education is completely different than here. Here you got a college into dress design. In Germany, you have to learn how to fabricate a dress. You go as an apprentice, and you take a 2-week test, written and verbal. Then you get allowed into college. But during the 3 years, you still have to take 1 day a week and go to school where you learn English, history, German, all that. But it was it was a whole day. So you still had like high school classes, but were also an apprentice.
Okay.
So then I had to take a test to get into college in Munich. Well, my girlfriend was a translator. She went to college in Munich, and we were friends since 3 years old. And she started earlier than I did. So when I came, she had met my husband through a German who introduced him, and they joined an American-German college club. We were still scared of each other. So we thought the Americans would chop our heads off. So we had a lot to overcome after the war. And German girls didn't go to parties by themselves. And he belonged to that club, so he chaperoned her. So when I went, her father had a Coca-Cola company, and he sent a whole suitcase full of liquor bottles to take to his daughter. So she invited my husband back to thank him for what he had done, and that's how I met him.
That's how you met him.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was fear of the Americans at that time.
Oh yes, we were afraid to death. Yeah,
That's new information to me. That's
yeah.
a
We
surprise.
thought, you come and kill us, because with the bombs and
From the
everything
war.
of the war. See, as a child, because my mother had to work, and she still had my brother. So she sent me to her parents 60 miles away. And when the war got worse, my hometown was close to D-Day. So we got all the last bombing. Our house was bombed Christmas Eve 44. The war was over in spring. But I was at my grandparents', and my grandfather built a cabin in the woods. And we would be out there, and we kids were playing, and there was a hill. And we were up on the hill, and the bombers came, and we could see the bombs hitting an orphanage. What was not an orphanage anymore, it was recuperation for the soldiers. And so, things, so we thought the Americans come and kill us. And they invaded.
Your story is so similar to my mother's story. She grew up in Slovenia, and some of the things you're saying are the very exact scenarios from a different country, different point, but very similar, and of course running up to the hills and hiding. Very similar, so I can definitely relate. I've heard my mom tell many similar stories.
Yeah.
How did you get over your fear of the Americans? Tell us about that, please.
Actually, it was very funny. I was at my grandparents, living with my grandparents. Behind their property, Hitler had built a big gymnasium. And he used the second floor for glider pilots.
Wow.
You know, to practice. And when the Americans, we were all glad to see the Americans, scared to death, but glad the war was over. And you put sheets out to make them welcome. And there were Americans back there. And somebody told me, I was 10, somebody said, you go and tell them you got promenade if they give you chocolate.
Promenade.
Promenade. So I went up to a very tall black, I don't know if that's the right phrase to say, black American.
Yes.
And I said to him, you give me chocolate, I got promenade. He took me on his lap. He laughed so hard. He put me on his lap. He fed me so much chocolate, I got sick. And they gave us soup. We had no food. And they fed us. So the Americans were very kind. But first when they came in, they went with bayonets to the houses, through the barns, to look for German soldiers.
Yes. Wow.
But they were very good to us. The ones we were scared of were the Moroccans. They came with French and they were very brutal.
Moroccans?
Moroccans. You're not from Morocco?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the Americans, so we got used to them, and it was great.
So they had rations and they were sharing them with you.
Oh, they were sharing them with us, yes.
That's great.
And they loved children. The town children would come out there with them.
Well, you were only 10 at that time, is that
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
When I hear your story, I hear a story, of survival, and I also hear a lot of pain, but also we just laughed, some really amazing memories. Can you tell us a little bit about how you have gotten over some of those experiences and to your life now, currently?
Well, some experiences you don't get over. Like I said, I lost my father, my brother, my aunt. My uncle my favorite uncle went missing in action in Russia. My aunt, one aunt that was 43. One aunt died 44.
Very young.
45 with black fever, and an uncle came back from prison camp, got blood poison, died. So those you don't get over, you miss them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
One of my very bad experiences was after we had no school during the war. The school was made into a Red Cross center for the wounded. And we had, I was a tomboy, and I had one girlfriend, but a lot of boyfriends, enough male friends. Well, we were all 10. Two of them were very close. I was close. One was, his dad owned a restaurant, and the other one, his father, was a shoemaker. And we would go out in the fields to play. And there were 7 boys and 2 girls. And my aunt said, no, you can't go. You have your homework to do, because I had tutoring once a week. They all found a live bomb and were blown out.
That's the worst story. Yeah.
And that you'd never get over.
No.
Because you still see them the age they were as your friends.
Right.
That
Yeah, you know that story firsthand. We've heard stories like that, but not, you lived it firsthand.
And when you lose a lot of your friends to a bombed.
And you would have been with them if
I
you
would have
hadn't been forced to do your
honest.
homework. Exactly. How
And
terrifying.
one of the boys lived right next door to my grandparents. And his father, there were 3 of them, that were part of finding the bombs and
Detonating them.
detonating. And they dropped the bomb, and they all 3 got killed. So this lady next door to us lost her son and her husband within 3 weeks.
That's really hard for families.
Yeah, so that was the worst part. But you get over it. The only thing I had trouble with, because I was sent back and forth between my mother and my grandparents, my mother, my grandparents, that for years after I was in the States, married, I would at night wonder where I was, I would dream, and I sit on the curb. Okay, where's my home? I couldn't find my home. You know, because when...
And those two places, those two villages or towns were about 100 miles apart.
Yes.
About 100 miles apart. So it was quite an effort to get back and forth.
My mother was called for 1944 to come to where I was for Christmas. And she called and said, I can't come. Everything is bombed. I don't know how to get there. And I cried. I hadn't seen her for a year. So she hitchhiked all the way. Somehow walked and hitchhiked for 100 miles. And she stayed and went back, and we never heard from her. So her younger sister and a friend walked there to see if she's still alive. And you could just walk nights because you had curfew. You couldn't leave the town after 6 o'clock. So they would go and they'd stay over during the day at somebody's farm or house. And they found my mother. And when my mother got home, we had been bombed. And my grandparents who lived there, my father's parents, my grandmother and my aunt, they were buried for a day or two. Good thing, where they stayed, the basement was fortified with big logs.
So they were found alive?
They were found alive. But they found one of my friends in a grandfather clock, but was upstairs before he got into the basement. He was dead. So it was horrible, you know.
He had hidden in a grandfather clock.
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh.
So that was a place across the street from us. We called Electric Company. And they fortified the basement for everybody to come to.
My mom tells me and told us that when she came to America, and maybe you feel the same way, when she came to America, she met a GI like your story. That it was the happiest day of her life, and the rest of her life, nothing else could compare. You know, it was a lot happier for her.
That was not my happiest day when I came. I quit college, got a job on an air base in Pittsburgh, so I would learn English. I had English in high school, I couldn't stand it.
Did you come through Ellis Island?
No. But I took French in high school, but not English. I didn't like it. I never thought I needed it. So when he left, we became engaged. And my father would not sign for me to leave before 21. So I came at 21. He sent me a ticket, but while I worked on the base, my stepfather, my dad had died. My stepfather came from the war. He was an invalid. So the money I made on the base, I would give 150. We made 280 marks, $70. And I would give 150 to him. I had to have 30 for the bus to go to work. I lived on one American base as a nanny, but I worked on the other one to work in an office to supply. And so I had no money. When I left Germany, I had 20 marks. That was $5. I had to fly from Luxembourg to Belgium to catch the plane. And I had to stay overnight in Belgium. And that cost me 8 marks.
And no one traveled with you?
Nobody. And when I came to New York, I had $1.25 to my name.
Wow.
And we were so close to fly into Milwaukee. My husband was going to pick me up, take me to his parents' cabin in Wisconsin. Well, you know, big little airplanes, scary.
Yes.
And they said, we cannot fly to Milwaukee, we fly to Madison or Minneapolis. And the people had to choose. Well, I didn't know anybody. His parents were in Wisconsin at a cabin. Who is in Minneapolis? Who is in Madison? Who's Madison? So they chose Madison. We landed and they bused us back to downtown Milwaukee. I got out, no Jack, no boyfriend, fiance. I thought, okay, what can I do with $1.25?
That's all you
I
have.
hadn't eaten in Brussels for the whole day. I couldn't afford to. I had a cup of coffee.
You're probably jet lagged too.
Oh, yeah. And it took 22 hours from Brussels to Madison.
And Gisela, how long had it been since you had seen Jack?
18 months.
18 months. Oh. And you took the bull by the horns and flew by yourself.
Yeah.
My
I was
word.
in Brussels and I laid in bed and I almost turned back.
Almost turned
Except
back.
I was embarrassed to go back. You know, it's a big thing.
A stubborn streak in you there?
So and you had heard in Germany, the girls come, the guys at the airport, but they don't pick them up. They tell them no. The mothers are against German girls. You hear all that.
Sure.
You know, and you
yes.
don't know what's true or not.
That's true.
But we got to Milwaukee, and then we went to the cabin, and his parents came, gave me the biggest hug.
How long was it before you said he wasn't there when you first got there? How long did you have
He
to
was in the side of a hotel called the airport. He left. He forgot the flowers.
wait? Oh,
He went back
but
to
he
get
was
the
in another
flowers.
location. Oh, okay. Now I have that picture clear.
Yes, he forgot the flowers.
What did you think when you finally saw him there here on American soil?
I was too tired and too sick to think. I said, I can't go any place. So we got a motel, and I just crashed because I hadn't slept for 22
22
hours
hours.
Oh,
from Brussels. You know, those planes were little then. They didn't
Yes.
flew like that. So,
Maybe
yeah.
he should have brought you food instead of flowers.
More chocolate.
But that's how I landed here. And we drove, and I said, oh, it looks just like Germany. The cows look the same. The land looks very much like where I come from. So, and I never once regretted having come.
Never regretted.
How long have you lived in Minnesota and how has been your life here?
We are married 61 years. So
Wonderful.
I came in May of 57.
That is beautiful.
And I just spoke to my husband. I said, he has an illness. So I thanked him for the good life he has provided to me. He has been an excellent husband,
That's good.
and I could not have done better.
That's good.
He's going to be 98, so
Oh my.
yes.
Wow.
I think I have been very blessed. I have very good friends in here. I have gone to Germany a lot of times. I wouldn't want to live there anymore. It's not my Germany the way I know it.
Right.
It's completely different.
Different.
And they think they speak German. They don't realize how much English is in the German language.
You have been back many times to visit family.
Yes, yes. I used to go almost every day, every year. My husband brought my parents over here in '64,
Oh, how nice.
and he vouched for them. We didn't have the money to vouch,
My
so,
family did the same thing.
so his father had to vouch, so my parents would not become a ward of the state. And he had to do it for me too. My father-in-law did.
Yeah.
He had to have a certain amount of assets and money.
Right.
So when I come and would not become a ward of the state, and my parents, and my my stepfather was 64, my mother was 56. My stepfather got a job at Justice, was an upscale men's tailor shop, a clothing shop. And my mother worked in a nursing home till they retired, and they died here. But after retirement, they would go back every year, and they'd be there for a few months.
Oh, sure.
With my mother's sister, and I would go over when they were there.
That's great.
So are you the only surviving child of your mother?
Yeah,
Oh, so it was very important for the two of you to stick together as family here.
yes,
No.
yeah.
That's amazing.
And to bring them over here.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure having you on
Thank
today's show. Thank you for sharing your story. I don't know if there's a few remarks or anything that you would like to say before we.
Well, it was a pleasure. It was much easier than I anticipated. But I always say what true friends are. They talk you into.
That's good to hear, Gisela. Enjoyed hearing parts of your story, and I know from your book there are many, many other stories that we don't have time to tell today, but thank you so much for
That's
sharing
right. She
that.
has a memoir. Say the name of
Yes.
her memoir.
Yes. My Journey, the Worst and the Best.
Wonderful.
My Journey, the Worst and the Best. And there are some of the stories you talked about through the war, but coming here, she tells about how it was coming to the United States and a little more about that terrible flight.
Thank you so much for being on the show today, and especially for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. To my co-moderators, thank you for a wonderful show. Thank you so much. Until next time, thank you. We'll see you at the next episode of Women of the World.